kind of late. I've been up for a couple hours.
For you.
Yeah,
I slept in a little bit today to like 7:30, but yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Try Together. I am your host and founder, Pratik Day. You are tuning in for your cup of courage, hope, and imagination today. So on this platform, we use courage to showcase the stories. We use hope to overcome and imagination to understand and resonate with the stories that are being shared. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome my good friend, Mr. Craig Chavis Jr.
Hey, Matiba, we've been having this talk to collaborate for a minute, but I'm so glad we're able to finally make this happen today. I'm excited for this.
Let me see the shirt.
So, Creative Craig. This is the last time you'll see this type of shirt because I actually just created a new crown look. But yeah, I got to be branded, stay on brand. Even the necklace is on point. Yeah.
So can people buy those necklaces? Branded.
Soon. I'm taking a note from your playbook and going to be, selling some more merch coming up. Short.
What do you mean you're taking a note from my playbook? Because I'm saying so?
No, I mean, like, I got your mug. I mean, that's merch 101 right there.
I would wear that necklace.
Unfortunately, it got cracked, so I'll be looking for the new mug coming soon. So excited for that.
Wow. I really like your background. So this degree on the left here of me, is that for your master's or what is that for?
No, that's actually my award. My book, Burns of a Dream, won the best entrepreneurship book in 2020 at the American Book Festival, which is like one of the top 5 most prestigious book awards in the U.S. for independent authors. So yeah, that's what that is.
How does it make you feel? How does it make you feel?
Oh, it felt great. I mean, like when I was writing the book, like I wasn't looking for validation or affirmation from other people because this was such a personal story that it was really therapeutic for my healing and my growth. But I can't lie, like it felt great to be recognized by such a prestigious institution. So it felt good. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my God. So let me tell the viewers a bit about you before we continue on. Ready?
Yes.
So Craig M. Chavis Jr. is an award-winning author and business strategist on a mission to help entrepreneurs develop proactive, profitable, and proven business models. At the core of Craig's coaching philosophy lies the mantra, become the entrepreneur of your life through the lens. He coaches through an alternative and holistic perspective, cultivated from over a decade of his first-hand experience launching and managing multiple businesses in Ghana, Costa Rica, Peru, and the United States of America. He is a serial entrepreneur, a returned Peace Corps volunteer, a former Division I collegiate athlete, and received his BSBA from Samford with an M, University and MBA from the University of Tampa. Craig is also a super foodie, shout out to tacos, world traveler, a lifelong learner, and currently in Columbus, Ohio is where he resides. So morning, Miss Robin. You're hot as shit. Yo, Miss Robin is the best. Everyone check out Miss Robin and her juice drinks because they are fresh and she is hot. So
sounds good.
Not to take the light away from Craig. Yeah, cold pressed juices. Miss Robin is awesome. So in her fitness field. Yeah. So Craig, where would you like to start discussing your journey?
I mean, it's been one hell of a journey. I mean, I could kind of give you like a 3 to 5 minute rundown of like where I began and like how I got to this point now, if you don't mind that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for your audience who most people don't know me, but my name's Craig. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio. But growing up, I moved around a lot because of my father's job. And like I used to hate having to go to a new school, a new community, a new environment, and always having to adjust and like make new friends. But early on, that kind of taught me, it's like, okay, like if you want to create a new opportunity for yourself, you might have to change your environment. And one of the things that really kept me grounded through all this change was athletics. I was good enough to get a Division I football scholarship that took me out of Ohio down to Birmingham, Alabama, and I just had hopes and dreams of being a professional athlete. I had the ability, I might have had a shot at the next level, but unfortunately, my sophomore year of playing football, I suffered a career-ending injury. And so my whole identity was wrapped up in sports. And when that came down, like I didn't know what to do with myself. And I wanted to take a shortcut, and I tried quitting and wanted to drop out of school. But fortunately, my Spanish professor intervened in my life and convinced me to study abroad in Costa Rica, which my whole perspective in my life to this concept of business. And so I came back to school refreshed, switched my major to entrepreneurship, started a couple side hustles on campus, including serving as a DJ in Birmingham, Alabama, which was really interesting. And I used the proceeds from those businesses to go to Spain, and that really locked in my love for international business and travel. So after I finished up my undergraduate studies, I realized Alabama wasn't the place for me. So I went down to Tampa and got my MBA in less than a year, which is pretty crazy because it's a 2-year program. But as I was wrapping up my degree, I was interviewing for jobs in New York City and San Francisco, but I just didn't see myself sitting in a cubicle for the rest of my life. And I didn't get any job offers. But what did happen was another, I think, divine intervention. And I met a Peace Corps recruiter at a Chipotle in New York before I flew back to Tampa to graduate. And she's like, hey, you have the perfect background for the Peace Corps. You should apply. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the Peace Corps, it's basically a 27-month opportunity to live and work in another country, sponsored by the U.S. government. And so I applied for that opportunity, and I got the chance to go to Peru to do basically economic development consulting. And the moment I landed in Peru, I was like, I have a dream that I'm going to start a business in this country. I just don't know how that's going to happen. But as I was teaching entrepreneurship at colleges, one of my professors who I taught with was a distiller. And after class, he would teach me how to distill pisco, which is like a national beverage of Peru. And so I took the liqueurs that we were making and I sold them to some of the business owners and farmers that I was coaching and consulting with, which probably wasn't legal with the Peace Corps, but that was my entrepreneurial mind at work. And after I finished up my Peace Corps service, I immigrated back to Peru and launched the country's first branded craft distillery.
Oh my
And that whole journey of that process was really what my book, Burdens of a Dream, is all about. But since that venture in 2017, I've gotten into blockchain. I've managed a travel startup in Costa Rica. But what I do now today, as you introduced me so kindly, is that I'm a business strategist, and I really help new entrepreneurs to not only launch their business, but to develop proactive, profitable, and proven business models. And that's just a little bit about me and how I got to this point today.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little. There's a lot of stuff I skipped over, but
Thanks,
time is gold and money silver.
Yeah, one thing I want to say about Craig for those who are listening is that he's different. Do you want to go into a little bit how you're different, Craig, than other people?
Well, I think like we're all different, and we should be different. Like we're really all products of our environment. And like your life is just an amalgamation of your different experiences along the way. But for me, like particularly in my field of being a business strategist and a business coach, like my perspective is really grounded on my philosophy of helping people to become the entrepreneurs of their lives. And that's really a philosophy that goes over a lot of people's heads, because in entrepreneurship, people think that an entrepreneur, all they do is create businesses and make money. Well, when I was writing my book, Burdens of a Dream, I defined an entrepreneur as anyone who takes a calculated risk to create something out of nothing and share it with the world. And so that thing that you create, it can be a business, but it should really be about creating a life that you don't have to run away from. because what people don't realize is that life is a business and you are the product of that business. And when you look at life through this lens, you start to move different, you start to think different, and you start to operate different. But furthermore, I also lead with more of a value first, profit second approach. And this was really cultivated working in the Peace Corps, because like I was working with farmers that couldn't even afford to buy the fruit that they were producing. And I'm like, something's really wrong with this system that we're operating under. And it's like, money is a byproduct of the value that you create for others. And if I solve your problem or if I make your life better, then you'll compensate me for that. So the things that really distinguish me and what make me different are my philosophy, but then also my approach to business. Money is second to me, but creating value is the most important.
Wow. I believe I'm taking away. Also, maybe other people are too. But I can vouch for that, because I remember the first time I spoke with you, I aligned with you and you gave me value first. I remember the questions I was asking during that time. I was frustrated because I wasn't getting the results. And you gave me, practical wisdom from your own experiences overseas and all. And that day, because of you, I don't know if you know this, but remember that day I did my LLC that same day after I got off the phone with you. But that was because of you. You're being practical. You were like, well, do you have your LLC yet? Like, what do you want to do? And that was like that trigger, trigger for me to go and take action and do something. So that was the value you provided. And then I remember I had your book in my saves and you were like, what is it doing there? And then I bought it, but I haven't finished reading it all, but I don't regret it, because so now I want to share one of the quotes, because I picked out 3 things, and maybe you can elaborate on those if that's okay with you.
Oh, no doubt. No, I'm on your show. So you okay. lead. Yeah. This is your platform.
Right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Miss Robin. She also agrees that money is second. So
yes,
this quote by, please let me know if this is pronounced right, Paulo Coelho.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Where did you discover him?
Well, one of my favorite books of all time is The Alchemist. And it really reminded me, because it's a story of becoming, of a journey. So I kind of framed my book, Burdens of a Dream, in a similar format where I talk about my journey. But yeah, he's a fantastic author. The Alchemist, a very popular book.
Because I want to say you wrote your book really well. Like each quote and then your own chapter really aligns with the quote and has your style in it, for those who don't know. So the quote says, "You must be the person you have never had the courage to be. Gradually, you will discover that you are that person. But until you can see this clearly, you must pretend and invent." So I want to ask you, is this the fake it till you make it? What are your thoughts on that?
Fake it till you make it is a dangerous mentality. Ooh. But at the same time, like, it presents a conundrum, because, like, for example, for somebody to buy from you, like, you have to first believe in yourself before other people believe in you. So I think that's really where I was coming from. It's like, okay, it's self-confidence. It's not faking it. Like, I'm not about, putting forth an image that's false. But what I am really saying is that, hey, Pratiba, or anybody else watching, like, believe in yourself first, and then other people's will believe in you. So it's really about self-confidence and self-motivation, because so many people don't believe in themselves, and that's what cripples them and prevents them from moving forward. You got to believe in yourself. And that's what that quote really means.
So for you, how long did it take for you to believe in yourself? Do you feel like there was a pivoting moment where you did, like, yes, now I do?
It was when I wrote I'll be transparent about that. Like, the book is what, like, saved me and got me back on track, because, like I said, I left out a lot in my journey. But in 2019, I had liquidated my company Visa Jump in Washington, D.C. I didn't know what to do next. I found out that my grandmother passed away, and I was going through kind of like my own transition. And so I wound up moving back to Ohio for the first time in 10 years. And, like, I was like, what am I going to do here? And so I started going out, networking, applying for jobs, and nobody would hire me. And, like, there's reasons for that I won't get into to be non-political. But the number one reason was probably my entrepreneurial background. And everybody asked me the same question. They're like, Craig, are you going to stay here or are you going to leave? And I lied to them. I was like, I'm going to stay here. I want this cushy, comfortable job. And nothing ever happened. But in the midst of all that turmoil, I went out and I was sharing my story. And I ran into a publisher. And he's like, Craig, you have a book in you. You need to share your story. And initially I rejected that. But when I signed the book deal and I started writing the book, the project transformed from project into a calling. And so writing that book was like, okay, me re-believing in myself, realizing that like I am this entrepreneur and I can't run away from who I really am. And so that's what really gave me the confidence to move forward, was just writing the book.
Wow. I just want to say that no one gives me a job either. Like I've applied during my journey and I'm like to schools, back to the things I used to do. I get no calls back and I'm like, that's for a reason. No one wants to hire me. Like, because my resume. So yeah, I can understand that. So when did you start writing this book? How long did it take for you to write Burdens of a Dream? It's amazing.
It took me only 3 months. 3 months. Like that's why I say like this wasn't just a project. Like it was therapeutic. Like the first words I wrote were the dedication. And these are the words I wrote. I said this book is dedicated to all those who will dare to abandon the status quo, follow the road not taken, and discover the person they're truly meant to become.
Let me check if that's
as much as I was yeah. You can look at it verbatim.
Yes, it is here.
Yeah. Craig, but as much as I was writing those as much as I was writing those words to you and other people, I was really writing those words to myself. And so every day I got up at 5 a.m. and from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. I wrote out the book. And in 3 months, it went from just an idea into the thing you're holding right there.
Talk about dedication. So I recently, go ahead.
No, I mean, when you say that word, I think of Nipsey Hussle, because like that was one of his favorite words. But it's just about staying the course. I mean, like aside from a lack of confidence, like a lack of commitment is probably problem number 2 that most people or most entrepreneurs run into, is like they give up too easy. And there's like a quote I'm butchering, but there was this comedian who basically said, like, why would you boo yourself off your own stage? And he's like, when people step up on the stage, or when like they start their journey, they take themselves out the game. It's like, don't do that. Stay focused, realize you're not going to get results overnight, and just stay the course, because what people don't realize is that your next best step will be revealed as long as you persevere. Like people think all the answers, all the results are going to come instantaneously. And that's just not true. You have to stay the course and keep persevering and stay dedicated. And that's when the magic really happens.
Wow. Let's see what Bhavani said. You guys will give jobs to others. You're much more than just a job. Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
You're changing many lives, including people in high-level jobs for 20 years without confidence, clarity, and struggling without peace and happiness. Wow, Bhavani, that's so powerful. Yeah. I recently do have a friend who's in corporate, and she's finally going to leave, and it's affected her mental health. So I want to ask you, like, what was the lowest point for you, like, throughout this entrepreneur journey? Did you have any lows or like struggle at all with your mental health?
Oh, of course. I mean, I go back to like the Peace Corps journeys. Like you had these things called euphoric highs, and then like these kind of like depressing lows. But like that's kind of symbolic with life. Like you don't have a mountain without a valley. Like medically, like when you hook somebody up to an EKG machine, it measures their heartbeat, right? And it goes up and down, up and down. But when it flatlines, they're gone. And so that's kind of like symbolic of life. Like if your life is just flatline, if there's no ups and no downs, you're not really living. And so going back to my philosophy about becoming the entrepreneur of your life, I mean, I've had some crazy highs, but then like some really low lows. And like that biggest low, I kind of mentioned it earlier, was like my transition from actually DC back to Ohio. But before I got back to Ohio, I made a pit stop in Pittsburgh, where I did take a corporate job at a company I won't mention, and I only lasted. And a story that I haven't told many people is that like I could have been George Floyd before George Floyd happened. Like two cops showed up at my apartment with guns because I got called in by an employee who was jealous of what I was doing, and I almost lost my life based upon like a false accusation while working at a company. And that, to me, like that was my signal, like I have to change, I have to get out of here. Like I'm going down a path that's not for me. I didn't have really good habits. All I did after work was just drink, and that wasn't a very healthy way to proceed forward. And so like moving back to my home state and being around family was the thing that really healed me and got me back on track, because if things would have just changed in a different way, I wouldn't be here. So yeah, that was probably my lowest low, but it's led to a really high what I'm doing right now.
That just hit me out of nowhere. You never told me that before. And we talked.
I haven't told a lot of people about that. Yeah, I haven't told a lot of people about that.
It's interesting. I was reading or listening, or I came across something where I discovered that more people's homes were, broken into, and, minorities, right? And I recently saw that, and I was just like, what is this? Like, and like exactly what you're talking about. And it's like, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, it's another rabbit hole. But I just wanted to be, like I said, when we were talking about this conversation, I was like, yeah, everything's going to be on the table. I'm not going to hold anything back. I mean, obviously, I had to glaze over some stuff. But yeah, that's a story most people don't know.
So do you feel like you'd live in Peru or another country of your choice permanently because of those reasons, those kinds of reasons of the police brutality? Do you feel?
So for me, like one of the reasons why I really desired to move back abroad was just because of the freedom that I felt. I mean, like there's nothing against our home countries. I mean, there's no perfect place in the world.
No.
Every place has its pros, every place has its cons. But when I was out on the road, like I felt like I was living instead of like being here. Well, no, people, I feel like people are living to work, whereas like in other environments, people are working to live.
Yes.
And I just enjoy traveling. I'm a nomad by nature. That's how I started off this conversation, talking about my upbringing and the constant moving and the constant change. I just love to explore, and I'm happiest on the road. So that's something I'm definitely going to continue starting next year.
Yeah. And I want to ask you, do you feel like those people who aligned with you at those times in your life, for the Peace Corps, then you saw the lady again, and then regarding, what was it, distillery, remind me, do you feel like those people were like angels in your life? Or how would your life have been, do you feel, if it wasn't for those people?
Yeah, I think, my mother put it best. She's like, people are in your life for a reason. And some people are in there for a long-term season, and other people are there for like a short-term season.
Yeah.
And people come in your life and out the next day and never come back. Yeah, and there's people that kind of like weave, and you'll go 5 years without talking, and then you'll come back, and it's like your best friends.
Yes.
But for me, I think every opportunity, every moment is an opportunity to learn. And I definitely do think, I loved your kind of like verbiage, but there are some people who are angels in disguise. Like, for example, my professor, like without her convincing me to study abroad in Costa Rica, who knows where my life would have been. If I think back to some of my business mentors who invested in my distillery at the last second to help me reach my funding goals. Like if they didn't give me that money, there's no way I could have gone through that experience to write the book that you read. So definitely there's people who are angels, and then there's people who are probably not the angels that are in your life. Yeah, but so, every person presents an opportunity for you to learn from that situation or that encounter.
Yes, sir. So there's a part in your book about the loan, when there was a struggle with the loan. And you were waiting, and I believe it's go with the flow. Chapter 24, go with the flow. And the quote for that is, and the most successful people are those who accept and adapt to constant change. This adaptability requires a degree of flexibility and humility most people can't manage. I feel like this is something you'd say, but it's by Paul Ludus.
Yeah.
Something you'd say, that's why it's in your book.
Mm-hmm. It's so important. I mean, just today, like before our conversation, like I was working on my new product launch, and the typical person in my field is going to say, hey, all you have to do is put up ads, create a funnel, and then you're going to make all this wonderful passive income, and everything's, and you can work on a laptop, and everything's all hunky-dory. Couldn't be further from the truth. Like I'm having to adjust and pivot and create all these systems and all these processes, and it's taking so much longer than I envisioned. But that's why going with the flow is so important, because nothing, how can I say this? Like everything is different when you actually go through it. And we always have this projection of a reality, but when we go and experience that reality and it's different than the projection, that's when we encounter friction and resistance. And so I encountered so much friction and resistance because I thought it was going to be a lot easier to do this thing. But because I'm adaptable, I'm flexible, I'm nimble, and I can go with the flow, it's another day, another dollar. But that's what this whole journey is about falling in love with the process and not the destination. Because when you're consumed with the destination, it's going to take you off course and you won't be able to go with the flow. But when you're just focused, you'll just be more relaxed. And that's when more magic happens.
In this moment, I want you to share with the viewers where they can get in touch with you and how they can book a consultation with you.
Yeah, well, I have my name spelled on the StreamYard, so you can just go to creativecraig.com. You spell that CRE, the number 8, IVE, Craig.com. And yeah, you could book a 30-minute consultation, and we could just have a really awesome and amazing conversation. And I'll drop the information in the chat as well.
Yeah, and we're not done yet. I just wanted you to tell them while they're on here.
Yeah, and I'll put my Calendly link in there as well.
Smart.
Yes.
That's a smart
systems and processes. Yeah. I've messed up before, it's like as you move within your entrepreneurial journey, you become more effective and efficient. And that's what I try to do. And that's what I try to teach as well. Wow.
Ms. Robbins said, fall in love with the process. So I want to go back to chapter 13, Carpe Diem, where we were talking about Paulo Coelho. And I believe this is the last of your sentence. May I read it?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, discomfort is only temporary, and the rewards of perseverance are worth their weight in gold. What? That is heavy. I know you said that.
Yeah. It's like, don't settle. Stay the course. Like too many people are settling in their lives. And that's where the problem happens. Is like, that's why I entitled the book Burdens of a Dream. Like everybody has a dream, whether it's being an entrepreneur, whether it's being a successful lawyer, a veterinarian, whatever. But so many people, instead of like working and paying the cost to get to their dream, they settle. And then all this time goes by and all this tension builds up. And then all these people wind up having these midlife crises, wondering where all this time went and frustrated at the world, but they're really frustrated with themselves that they didn't stay true to what their original goal or dream was. And like, if you just persevere and you stay dedicated and you don't give up and you put in the work to get to whatever your goal is, like the rewards that you reap are going to be worth more than gold. They're going to be priceless. So that's why you have to stay the course and like, don't settle, because regret is something that nobody wants to, live with for the rest of their life.
I surely don't.
Mm-mm.
That leads.
And it's difficult.
Yeah. That leads into chapter 33. As the book is titled 33 Actionable Nuggets of Wisdom for the Creative Entrepreneur. So 33 New Hope, which is perfect for what you just said. So tomorrow is the most important thing in life. Comes into us at midnight, very clean. It's perfect when it arrives and it puts itself in our hands. It hopes we've learned something from yesterday. John Wayne. Wow.
Yeah. And honestly, like I wanted to end the book just like on a high note, because as I said, like there's a lot of tension in the journey, in the story I told. Like there's highs, there's lows, and even though I lost my dream business due to a fraudulent encounter with my landlord, I
Wow.
still had to look back and like realize that this was such an amazing experience. Like I got to live my dream was my reality. Like I was not just a dreamer, I was a doer. And that those 3 years in Peru were like, I shit you not, like were 30 years of life experience in
Oh
three
my
years. Like
God.
I accelerated my personal and professional growth so much by going through that experience. And there's another chapter in the book entitled Fail.
Mm.
And most people think failing is bad, but to fail is just to experience a first attempt in learning. And that's what I did. Like that whole journey was about learning and figuring out what I did right, what I did wrong, why those things occurred, and moving forward to make sure that like I don't commit those mistakes again, but then I double down on the positives so that I can keep growing at the rate that I'm growing. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like when things go wrong, like something has to motivate you to keep going forward. And it's that hope that tomorrow or today will be a better day that really keeps you going when you don't feel like going anymore.
So well said. So well spoken. I realized you like the word amalgamation a lot. Is that your favorite
Yeah,
word? I see it in the
it's
book
one of them.
often.
Yeah, I do, because I love really all encompassing words.
Mm,
Like when people ask, like, what's the number one word that describes an entrepreneur? I typically say resourceful. And why resourceful? Because it's an amalgamation of so many key traits of like
mm,
strategy, of focus, of hard work, of creativity, of innovation, of dedication, of clarity, consistency, commitment. Like all those little words combine to, create the word resourcefulness or
mm.
resourceful. So I just love those like power words that kind of like hit people in the chest because they mean something instead of being some like fluff BS word that doesn't have any impact or value or something like that.
You are special. And
Appreciate you.
yeah, appreciate you too. And this wraps up well because this just flowed so perfectly, just like your book, because in the end you say, define what success means to you, choose to live life on your terms, and help make this world a better place for all, which is essentially what you just said. So with this, we come to a close. How nice is that?
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, but just to elaborate that on a little more,
Yeah.
I really like how you ended that. Is like ultimately success is like what you define it to be.
Mm,
And I think that's something that people don't talk a lot about, because other people have definitions that they want
mm,
you to live by. And it's like, guess what? Like, this is my life. Like, I want to define my life the way I see fit. And as long as I'm not hurting other people, as long as I'm making this world a better place, then like what I'm doing is fantastic. And
mm,
so like a part of like my coaching and strategic methodology is help people to get to their point of freedom. And that point of freedom is like where they're living life on their terms, whatever those terms, as long as add to others, not hurting you, not hurting other people. I don't think life gets any better than that. But in order to get there, you first have to define what you want your life to be, but more importantly,
mm,
what you want your life not to be. Because everybody, when you ask kids a question, hey, who do you want to be when you're growing up? They
mhm,
get a million different, they give you a million different answers. But if you were to ask them, hey, who do you not want to be when you're growing up? They're going to give you different responses. But when
mm.
you're able to eliminate stuff, you're able to focus on the positives instead of the negatives. I just wanted to reiterate that it's very important that you really define your life and what you want your life to become. And that allows you to be more strategic so you can accomplish whatever those goals you want to accomplish are.
Wow. You truly care, Craig. You can tell.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
I
can
mean,
tell.
because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people who believed in me. Not that
Yeah.
many people, I could count on my hand, but they had a
Yeah.
major impact. And so I'm just eternally grateful. And that's why I opened up the book with with gratitude. I
Yeah.
thank people before I wrote
Yeah.
the book. So it's really important.
I want to just mention briefly about your team who designed the covers, because I love this lavender cover, if you can't tell, and then Craig's head on the back. Just kidding. But this is amazing. And then you have your workbook as well. So you guys can find this on Amazon. Is there anywhere else?
Yeah, so they can go to Amazon. They could find the
Yeah.
paperback, hardback, audiobook, and ebook if they want it, or they can
Yeah.
go to my website, www.burdensofadream.com, and they
Yeah.
can get a direct download there if they want that. But
It's
all
amazing.
formats are available for everybody.
I love it. So what's next for you? I know you said you're planning to go abroad. As we wrap up, like, what is your next goal?
My next goal, so I kind of like snuck it in there a little bit, but
Yeah.
I have a new product coming out
Yeah.
called the Entrepreneur Affirmation Bootcamp. And so
Mm,
the whole value
I
proposition
do know
is that
about
I'm going to help you to transform your idea into a profitable business opportunity
it.
with confidence. So essentially, I'm going to help people to discover a business idea built around their skills, passions, but most importantly, customer demand. And so
Mm,
after they discover their best business idea, I'm going to help you to find your ideal client, and then not only test your business idea on your ideal client or customer, but also validate it as a profitable business opportunity that you could pursue full time. And so it's a very important product because when most
yes.
people are starting out in entrepreneurship, they have no idea where to
Ex-
begin. And
Yep.
so a lot of people chase business ideas, but it's like you shouldn't chase anything. Like if you don't know where to begin, look within. Like there's a business idea that you have that you could transform into something that's going to be very, very profitable. But you have to do that with intention. And this is what this product is going to help people to accomplish. So that's going to be coming out next month. It's a lot of work, but
What?
I'm super, super excited to help a lot of people take their next best step toward becoming the entrepreneur of their life. It's
Why,
all
thank
about.
you. And I want to say that you're very simple and to the point, as in I did submit a survey for Craig regarding the boot camp, and it was basic, like 3 questions, right? It was like
Mm-hmm.
3 questions. And in general, your philosophy of like keeping it simple and like you're very genuine and, not, you're not like in the clouds, like on cloud nine, like you're very practical and down to earth. So, how you mentioned about the kids and so do you feel that what you teach, a kid could understand it? Like if you were to, word it that way, like a child would be able to understand what you do.
Of course. I mean, that's
Mm,
why I wrote the book
yeah.
at just a rudimentary level. Like here's another quote. Since I'm full of quotes today, one of
Yeah.
my mentors told me that there's genius in simplicity. She's a
Mm,
designer, like a architectural designer, and she's like,
mm,
there's genius in simplicity, and I didn't get that, but she's like, if somebody is truly a master of their craft, they
mhm.
will be able to explain what they do in layman's terms so that other people can understand it. And that's very, very powerful because oftentimes you see a lot of people who pretend to be intelligent or who pretend to be knowledgeable, and they're using terminology that's confusing
Mm,
and that they don't even understand, but they want to sound like, they're an Einstein. But in all actuality, like if you can explain what you so that a sixth grader can understand it, which is the average comprehension level of an American, which is neither
wow.
good nor bad. I won't say that, then you really know what you're saying. And then you also know that that person who's trying to help you, you know that they really are qualified to help you because they can explain in a way that doesn't confuse you. So yes, a kid could
Wow.
go through my course and the book with ease.
Wow. Thank you for your time today. I hope you had a great time being
Oh
on
no,
China,
like this has been super dope. No, I'm like I
right?
said, we've been talking about this for months and we made it happen. So I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank
And I know
you.
you bringing me on as a guest, but like I've seen your growth over the past couple of months, and it's been quite extraordinary. So
Yeah.
keep doing you and keep staying the course, and don't give up on whatever dream you have. So I really appreciate you, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks. See you. Thanks everyone for
See ya.
tuning in. Bye. See ya.
Bye.